Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is video number 4 on the subject of collecting Prattware, which is underglaze colour transfer printed, using my collection to illustrate different ways of displaying and also the different shape, sizes and general variety of what's available, dating to the 19th century, the mid 19th century, through to the end of the 19th century. So today we're going to be looking at the Maroon shelf. So I've grouped together by colour ground. So let's move a little bit closer. And I'll just scan along there, showing a variety of plates, cups and saucers, teapot, a cream jug, ring stand, going through to mugs. So what I tend to do is put at least some of the larger items of ware to either the left or right hand side, so as the eye is then drawn to them, but not to the exclusion of everything else. I tend to find that if you put the larger objects only in the center, then the eye is drawn primarily to the center, but it doesn't really look to the left extreme or the right extreme. It's just the way that the eye tends to scan a shelf. So I find by grouping, as I've said, at least some of the larger items either to the right or left, or right and left, it means the eye tends to look at the entire shelf rather than just a particular part of the shelf. So starting here, we can see I've got a large presentation mug there, which is inscribed for a young child, aged 6 years, April the 2nd, 1870, as a birthday present. Now, it's rather interesting because as well as having the Prattware scene for Ruined Temple, what on earth was somebody thinking, really, in having specially commissioned this for a 6-year-old to enjoy on their 6th birthday? I'm sure they rather have had lots of treats to eat and possibly drink rather than a mug which wasn't used. So it was just purely sitting there on display. Whilst on the subject of specially commissioned mugs, I've also got a couple. There's one there with initials and the date 1889 on it, as well as 2 scenes there, which is known as a bolster shaped mug. And I've got a second bolster shaped one with the initials EL. I showed in my previous video of the pink shelf its companion in pink with initials. They're made as a marriage presentation, and for some reason you've got pink and maroon. So obviously the pink was for the female, the maroon was for the male. Quite why they didn't have them done in one neutral shade, I do not know, but that's the way that things used to be done in the Victorian era, and prior to that probably as well. So just letting you see the beautiful richness of transfer colours, as well as the deep rich maroon ground. There's a rather interesting cup there with a nice scroll design and a matching saucer. So I've separated the cup from the saucer because the cup does not have a transfer, it just has the mythical sea beast scroll design on it, whereas the saucer is the item that contains the transfer print as well as the same scroll border. So a very nice looking pair there. I've grouped them in the context of cups and saucers, 4 of them, but then centrally a mug there, as it sets it off in a sort of triangular shape. If you look at it down from there, and then forming the background plates there. Off to the left, I've chosen to put a ring stand, and I've propped it up using a plate stand because obviously that enables the two transfers to be seen, whereas if it's flat on the surface you can't see the transfers at all. Next to that we have a cream jug and teapot and 3 cups and saucers and side plates, all from the same tea service. So all different prints on there, looking really, really nice. So you can see how grouped together the maroon ground makes an absolutely wonderful display. Very beautiful, very vibrant. So I hope that that might inspire others to not necessarily collect maroon ground. You can collect any colour, but it shows the impact that can be made when you get a quantity of pieces with the same matching ground. Comes out very, very nice as a display. And a shelf can accommodate, as you can see, quite a large number of different items, so they take up very little space. So hopefully that might inspire people to look to collect. I will be doing a video on the method of production at some stage, but judging by the viewing data that I'm getting, most people have the attention span of a flea, so it's unlikely that anyone will be interested in understanding the extremely complex and extremely labour and time consuming process that was necessary to result in the final transfers. They were not done simply by one multicolour transfer being plonked on a piece of pottery and that was it. The engraving plate that were involved, and there were a number of them, involving 4 to 5 of the prime colours. So they were then transferred in individual colours, laid upon each other with a firing process within each laying of a fresh transfer. And when fired, the firing process resulted in the final end colours. As I've said, I won't labour the point too much now, but really people just have no idea these days of just how complex the process was to produce what you're looking at, and there's a great underappreciation of it simply because it's transfer printed as opposed to hand painted. But by God, the amount of effort and skill required to produce this cannot be underestimated or overemphasized. So I hope that's at least been of some interest so far in having a look at the maroon ground shelf.